freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your mega preview pod for this week's 3M Open. It is storylines, it's one and done, it's our best bets, and of course, it is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Joining me to break it all down, Patrick McDonald is here. Patrick.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the show. We will be breaking down all 50 shots from the Bryson DeChambeau President Trump challenge today on the YouTube. Can't wait to get into it with you guys.
Yes, that's right. We will break down putting strokes. We will break down everything that we need to along the way. Greg DuCharme is here. Hello, Greg.
Don't forget estimated handicaps. I think that's important. The other thing I'm looking forward to, this is going to be a long show. The other thing I'm looking forward to is breaking down vice captaincies. We got a little news on that. So we get into a little early Ryder Cup stuff, which I'm looking forward to as well.
All right, well, let's just start there and see where we get going, because Captain Keegan, which I imagine is being spelled with a K, has named his very first vice captain. Drum roll, please. Brrr. It's Webb Simpson. Yeah. So from Keegan, quote, Webb is someone who I have long admired and respected as a competitor and friend. He possesses a wealth of team experience and knows what it takes to win. He would go on to say, Webb will be a valuable member of our leadership team and a trusted resource for me as we prepare for Bethpage Black next September. Greg, yeah, no surprise. I like Webb. Webb's great. I think this is cool.
No surprise at all. I'm a huge Webb Simpson fan. I think there's definitely a role for him to play. But it brings up the big question to me when vice captains come up. This is something that it seems like the Europeans have a really good handle on, and I'm not sure we do. And that's the purpose of every vice captain, right? I think that if we set this up kind of like a C-suite where Keegan's the CEO and you have a couple of other vice captains with very specific roles, I think that's the best way to organize a team like this. Maybe they do this, but it doesn't seem that way. And there are a couple of roles that come to mind. One would be player relations, right? Who's your point of contact for the players? Who's scouting? Who's like the scouting director? I think Webb Simpson could fill those roles very nicely. The thing that the Americans seem to be missing is the data guy, like the Europeans have in Eduardo Molinari. I think that'd be an important thing. Maybe there's a course setup guy who's going to, interact with the PGA of America and take control, discuss with the data guy how this golf course needs to be set up. I think there are roles that need to be filled, and that would determine the quality of a choice for a vice captain. And it's very difficult without that to assess vice captains. We're looking at Wikipedia pages saying, okay, he played in 5 Ryder Cups. He's great, good hashtag, good pick. But I'm not sure that really fills the role the way it needs to be filled.
I think when we start assembling a C-suite, that is speaking Patrick's language right there. We could have a CRO, Chief Relationship Officer, maybe a CDO, Chief Data Officer. Patrick, Webb Simpson would say that he is, quote, honored to be chosen by Keegan to serve as a vice captain in 2025. He's competed in 3 Ryder Cups, and that will forever be among my career highlights. I have no doubt that Keegan will be a fantastic captain and a tremendous leader, yada, 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 all the stuff you say when you get picked.
I will say the data guy in typical American fashion, at least at Whistling Straits, they shell that offshore. They give it to a consulting firm. Scouts Consulting was in charge of it at Whistling Straits. I'm unsure if they were part of it there at Marco Simone, but there is some data being used. They give it to the leadership team, and whether they want to use it or not, that's a completely different conversation. It's kind of been hit or miss in that regard. But I think we talked about this last time, Greg, where just be consistent with the choices throughout, right? If you want to go data heavy, kind of like the Europeans did with Eduardo Molinari, leaning really into his practice And it seems like the U.S. team, they kind of just like pick and choose what they want to do, which I think you can kind of get in a little trouble with. So Webb has a little bit of leadership experience. He was on the President's Cup as an assistant captain there at his home club of Quail Hollow. And look, Keegan said in his introductory press conference he wants to go young with vice captains, which I thought was a little bit of a surprise, but I kind of like it, right? If you're going to do a whole different regime change the entire thing, bring in new guys, get a new voice in the room, new voices in the room. So it's a pick for sure. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad. Webb is a guy who will hang every week with these guys, five sponsors exemptions into the signature events. So they're obviously close with the guys who are going to be on the Ryder Cup team. So I guess that is a positive.
I guess the big question for me, and I'll look, I'm okay with going offshore with data, but there should be somebody who's responsible for it, right? Are we going to, who are we going to use for our offshore data account, right? What data do we find valuable? What data are we looking for? What do we need, right? Somebody can manage that. And if you go offshore to get it, that's fine. But I think somebody should be in charge of it. And really, the broader point is, like, we want to go younger. Why? I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. But why? What is the value of going younger? I'm not sure. Is it just simply new voices in the room? Because they could bring us on for vice captains, and we'd be very new voices. But I'm not sure that would be very effective. So this is the entire thing with Ryder Cup leadership, in my opinion, is what is the purpose? Why is everybody here? And I think we could do a better job at defining those roles. Now, that being said, there are plenty of roles that someone like Webb Simpson could fill, and he may be in that place. But I think as far as organization goes, consistency goes, and creating the best team possible, we could be a little more well-defined, if you will.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because I like that, Greg. There's always just been a blob of vice captains, and who knows what everybody's up to, as opposed to having some more defined roles in the team rooms. The good news is we've got about 14 more months to debate this as Keegan continues to put his vice captains together, and then eventually a team. We are completely through the 2024 men's major championship season. And Patrick and I were doing a debrief earlier this week. And then Greg, I wanted to loop you into this because a lot of reasons, but I was combing through some of the data, and the three best players this year, the three best players in all four majors, if you just add up the strokes gained, were Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, and Bryson DeChambeau. They won all the majors. That is very rare. Each of the last two seasons, the two best players in each season exited with 0 major championship wins. A lot of the guys just get hot once and win one and struggle in the others. But for the first time in a long time, the three best players won all the majors.
Yeah, which is a very cool sort of thing. And you could make a very good argument that they're the three best players in the world at this point. They have an ability to get hot at the right time. They play consistently, but they have very high upsides, all three of them, which I think is fascinating. Scotty Scheffler in particular is fascinating to me. We spent a lot of time talking about Xander, and it's a historic season. And this is like the Xander that we've been waiting for since he came out on tour. We got that. But looking at Scotty Scheffler, I was reminded of this at the Open. Like, it just feels like if Scotty doesn't win, it's because of self-inflicted wounds. And that leads me to believe that it's just up to him, right? If somebody else is going to win a major, it's because Scotty's going to make a mistake. Because Scotty's going to make a mistake inside of 10 feet on the greens, a mistake that most players aren't going to make, which is fascinating to me. And My guess is, Rick, Scotty was one of the best players in the majors last year without a win.
That's right. It was last year was Scotty and Victor, I believe. And the year before that was Rory and Zalatoris. And those two guys came up, all of them came up empty.
Right. So Scotty for the last 2 years has been one of the 2 best players in the majors and has come away with 1.
Right.
Which is fascinating. But it leads me to believe that this is something that really can continue, which is scary for everybody else. Xander's done a heck of a job catching up. The fact that Xander now has proven to himself that he can do it, that's going to be very interesting to watch going forward, right? Because he's kept up this contention streak for a very long time. Does he start turning those yellow squares into green squares consistently? That's going to be a fascinating thing to watch. But my biggest takeaway from the majors this year is that it's up to Scotty if Scotty's going to win or not. And it's such an impressive place to be in the game.
Yeah, he's special. He's putting it together in the biggest events, even the wins that we rattle off. It's hard to remember. Yes, one major for Scotty this year, but basically everything else is a signature event. I want to turn our attention to the rest of the PGA Tour season, the 3M Open, get to our best bets, get to our one and dones. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
You hear that? It's the steady pulse of the world's game that's turning fans into family and sport into passion. You hear that? It's the heartbeat of American soccer. The USL on CBS Sports Network.
And we're back. We are 2 events remaining, Patrick. Two events left in the PGA Tour season. For those keeping track at home, that is this week, the 3M Open, the Olympics next week, which is not a PGA Tour event, so that's the cadence. And then the Wyndham Championship, that is it. 2 PGA Tour events for everybody to jockey for spots, to get themselves into the playoffs, and no more opportunities.
Is it usually only 2 after the Open, or am I tripping? I feel like it's 3.
I think it's 3 as well, but I think it's because
Olympics.
The Olympics.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it snuck up on me. I was doing a little writing today, and like you, I noticed, I was like, oh gosh, it's only this week and then the Wyndham Championship, and then these guys are done. So huge week for a lot of these guys. I mean, there's a lot of PGA Tour winners, former PGA Tour winners on that top 70 bubble, like a Kitayama, Keith Mitchell, defending champion Lee Hodges, just outside the top 70 as well. And then if you want to go a little game within the game, guys jostling for top 50, trying to get in a better spot for the Tour Championship as well. But I've come to really like this event just because it gets weird, right, Rick? There is so much water on this golf course, where we saw a couple years ago Scott Piercy take his shoe off with the blister, just completely implode on the back 9 on Sunday. Tony Finau was there to pick up the scraps. We've seen someone like Cameron Champ win here, a Michael Thompson. The first event ever here was an awesome finish with Matthew Wolff, Colin Morikawa, and Bryson DeChambeau as well. The 18th is a great hole. We saw that, I think, last year with JT Poston when he hit it in the water and made a triple, I want to say. And so it's a fun golf course. I know it's rained a lot out there, so it's going to play a bit longer, probably catered to those longer hitters a bit more. But like you said, the FedEx Cup playoffs is right around the corner. And honestly, there's some names who I think should be playing this week if they care about the postseason, but they aren't.
Well, here's the first 5 or so out. First 5 out. So top 70 gets you in. Lucas Glover, Lee Hodges, Andrew Putnam, Adam Schenk, Keith Mitchell. If you go farther down the list, you find a couple more interesting names. Actually, some guys who have won this year, but they've won alternate events. Harry Hall, Chris Gotterup. Ricky Fowler is 98th.
Mm-hmm.
Not playing this week.
Yeah, won last year. I don't need the postseason type of thing. I'll get my sponsors exemptions.
I mean, it would be okay. Is he okay? So here's the is he going to play the Wyndham Championship, which I think I know the answer to.
I would say yes.
He has to. He has to play the Wyndham Champ. That is such a bad look if he doesn't.
It is a white flag surrender if you do not.
That is a horrible look. I can't believe he's not playing this week.
The other thing, Greg, is Patrick's right about those names between 50 and 70. That does jockey you for position. So in that group, Justin Rose, Aaron Rai, Eric Cole, Victor Hovland, Jordan Spieth, Min-Woo Lee, Nick Dunlap, Maverick McNeely, and obviously others. So there's two parts here. Those are names that you would not expect to see kind of just in. And then also, how far could they conceivably fall? Jordan Spieth's at 60 right now. Could he get past if he doesn't play this week and misses the cut at the Wyndham?
Yeah, or doesn't play at the Wyndham. You know, could 10 guys move? So this is the way you got to look at the points breakdown. Can 10 guys move in from out?
Probably not.
Over the course of 2 weeks. So
they're all playing.
Most of them are playing. But what's really so 10 down, 10 guys out would get you to 80th. Charlie Hoffman at 492 points. Yeah. So he's 100 points, 108 points back. He can definitely get in. He needs a strong finish, but how many guys can do that?
You need 10 guys to have a bunch of first, seconds, and thirds.
So yeah. I think Jordan is safe.
I think he is as well.
I think Nick Dunlap, who's in 64th, won twice this year.
I know. He didn't even get the FedEx Cup points for the first one.
No, he didn't get
one of 4 multiple-time winners this year. Yep.
I don't understand why he didn't get the points.
So hold on. That would be 500 points. So he would have 12. He'd be in 31st.
Right. Now, the good news is he won last week, so he got himself on the inside. But he needs to make a couple of cuts here. He needs to play well so he can get into the playoffs because he deserves to be in the playoffs. No question about it. With 2 wins, he deserves to be in the playoffs.
I think if you win, you should be in. Even if you win, him and Goddard should be in. And if you have to go to 73 or 74 guys, do it.
So you have some exemptions into the playoffs. Interesting. Because you're usually more on the cutthroat side of things.
I am, but I think it is a very unserious league to have guys who have won.
Yeah.
There's not that many events. There's not that many winners. I think it's an unserious league to not have those guys in the playoffs.
Yeah, and you would probably it'd be very rare that they would be out with a win.
Right. There's just a couple of very weak, Goddard won an alternate field event and then hasn't been good.
Right, so he gets 300 points for that. That's not enough.
Nick Dunlap wins, doesn't get any of those points, and then wins an alternate field event. I agree, it's rare, but that's why I think it should exist. If you have to go 2 or 3 guys, who cares?
It's only Davis Riley who might miss out. He's 69.
69 and with a win.
Yeah.
He's at 621. So 70th right now is 600 points. That's Luke List. Davis. So Nick Dunlap has 700 points. It feels to me like just 710 points gets you in. Just looking at where these guys that are on the outside are, Kurt Kitayama at 77 is at 511 points. It's going to be hard for a lot of guys to make up 200 points in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I'm kind of thinking there's 6 spots at most that can move here, which means Mark Hubbard at 60. Oh, he's at 62. So Nick Dunlap's at 63. He's right on the border.
Mm.
If he had 702 points, he'd be in, but he's got 701.
Just one more point, Nick. Go find 1 point somewhere. Yeah, it is interesting. It is interesting how this whole thing works. I also think that you should only take we don't need to get into this, but I think you should just take their best 15 results or something like that.
Well, like the handicap system.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, no offense to, let me find a good example. Emiliano Grillo. Yeah. I mean, just make every cut and play 35 times and you get in the playoffs. Has Grillo contended anywhere? I can't think of anywhere.
No. Nope. It's almost a testament to be inside the playoffs without contending anywhere. Like Shane Lowry last year, I think he only played 15 events and played fine, but didn't get in. Because he had only one top 10. But you got to load up on the big. I wonder what effect that would have if you took, a select top 15 events.
Yeah, I don't know what the number. Yeah, 15, 16. I don't know what the number is, but like something like that.
Well, think about Eric Cole.
Even bigger lead.
Oh, Scotty would have a massive lead.
Eric Cole is 54th, and he has 3 top 10s, but he's played all but 3 weeks.
Right.
Yeah, Rick, I wonder if the issue with something like that would be you want guys to play a lot.
Yes, it does. It definitely would disincentivize guys play. But well, okay, I agree with you. But let's game this out. Why do you want guys playing a lot?
Fair question. But you want to get your fans in all different areas to be able to see them.
But the guys that are playing a lot are the ones that the fans don't care about.
Yeah, it's a fair point. It's a very fair point.
No one is like, oh, man, is Eric Cole coming to Blaine, Minnesota this year?
It would be great to watch him, but you're not going to not go because he's not there.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So this is his 27th start of the season. What would the limit be? You can play 20 PGA Tour events?
There's no limit, but only so many count. If you play 30, okay, we're only taking your time. I mean, if you have 16 T20s, you would play to try to bump out a T20.
It's so funny how we're trying to get like the stars to play more, and then some of these other guys try to limit some of their stuff. No, not you.
There should not be any limit on play. I'm pretty strong on playing opportunities. So I'm a fan of them playing every week, whether you want to watch or not. I think they should have the opportunity to play.
I tend to agree with
that. I agree with that. If you can play, go.
Yeah.
Looking at the top of the board, not the guys necessarily working their way in, but we've got some pretty interesting names at the top. That includes Tony Finau, who missed the cut last week, but has obviously been trending in the right direction. Sam Burns, Sahith Theegala, and Akshay Bhatia are kind of the big four, Patrick, at the top here. I think that's fair to say. And I also think it's fair to say that there's kind of some question marks about all of those guys.
Yeah, I think Burns is number 30 right now, so right on that cutoff for the Tour Championship. I don't think this has been a usual stop. Played twice, 19 and 20. So past couple years, once he's gotten the wins under his belt, he hasn't really been playing here. So good for Minnesota to get a player like him back in the mix, back in the area. Finau's obviously been great around TPC Twin Cities, a win, a couple other contention runs. I don't think he's finished outside the top 30. And then Akshay is making his tournament debut, and Sahith has been pretty dreadful at this golf course. So, like I said, a lot of variance just because, a couple swings here can really be your demise, especially with the amount of birdies that we've seen at this golf course. So, I love the top of this board, just like some really good personalities and some really fun players to watch, which I feel like isn't always the case in some of these lesser events. I mean, pick your poison here. You get Sahith, who's wild and powerful. Akshay's this young up and coming talent. Finau's so much fun to follow along with, and then someone like Sam Burns who could pour it in. So I'm excited for the people of Minnesota, and it's a great it's a sneaky good field, I think.
Well, I don't know if I mentioned this on Monday or not, Greg, but one of the things I was going to say to you was I agree with Patrick. It is a very likable field, and then a field that has all the guys that we like. It's likable, but then the guys that we like, the DFS guys, where McNeely's here, Cam Davis is back again, and like Mac Meisner's 50-1. Like, you know what I mean? Like it is a fun field to go through. I am rooting for a lot of guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of rooting interest. Our guys are playing. I'm glad they're not limited. But you got like Taylor Pendrith coming to get into the into the President's Cup, right? Keep him in the field. Adam Hadwin try to do the same thing. Our guys, Mackenzie Hughes, a lot of Canadians playing this week. I don't know why I just mentioned all three of those. But like we said yesterday, in this 7K range, you got the Andrew Novaks of the world, Max Grazerman, who's been playing great golf. Kind of an opportunity to get to know him. Patrick Fishburne, another one. And then you also have the young guys. I would include Nick Dunlap in there, who will be fun to watch. Michael Thorbjornsen, Luke Clanton. These are highly entertaining players because they're rising stars. And I think it's going to be fun to watch them compete out here on a golf course like this in hopes that we see another 2019 with Matthew Wolff and Colin Morikawa battling it out down the stretch. It feels like there's a real possibility of that happening again.
Yeah, I love 18 as well. It can create fireworks, or it can create whatever the opposite. What is the opposite of fireworks?
Well, disaster. I guess it's not the opposite of fireworks, but fireworks pointed in the wrong direction cause a problem.
Remember when Gary Woodland went so far right? He played, he missed the water to the right and then played up the whole right side through the 10s. Maybe that's just
I do remember that. What year would that have been?
He was kind of in the mix. So if he has a good start here, I'm saying that year. T11, 2001.
Okay. And then whoever, I remember being invested in whoever Michael Thompson beat. Whoever Michael Thompson beat that year, I would remember being very anti-Michael Thompson.
You know who I think it was?
Who?
Was it Richie Wierenski?
Oh, it was. What a pool, Greg. That's also the year I think
Wierenski Whisperer.
Yeah.
DJ just walked off the golf course pretty much.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Adam Long. What a leaderboard.
Oh, boy. All right, listen, here's what we got to do. We've got some fun stuff. We've got the bets and the one and done coming up. We are going to accomplish those after a quick word from our partners.
Well, you need your sports news anywhere?
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
We are back. It is time to cash some best bets, which is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Here is how it works. Josh gives us $100. We take it over to FanDuel Sportsbook. We find one matchup, 50. Boom. Find one finishing position, $30 there. $10 each on two separate outrights. That equals $100. Josh puts them into a grid, and he releases that grid right now. Yes. Nice. Okay. Greg, correct me if I'm wrong. Are you on a matchup run right now?
I won a matchup last week.
I thought you had won at least 2 or 3 in a row.
I don't know. I won last week. I think I've been struggling with the matchups this year in general, doing pretty well in finishing positions.
Well, here's the thing. You can just we'll start a streak right now.
Let's start a streak. We hit this. We're at 2 in a row. Maybe Josh can check the records. We'll make Josh our chief data operator.
What is the what's the line from Major League? We won yesterday. We won again today. If we win tomorrow, it's called a winning streak. It has happened before.
Yes. All right. So we're going to start a streak here. I got Michael Thorbjornsen over Ben Griffin. This is not a let's start a streak kind of pick. This one has a little bit of volatility. All right. And at plus 135, he's a heavy underdog. But I think there's a lot of upside with Thorbjornsen. You think about the 4th place finish at the Travelers, the tied 2nd at the John Deere Classic. Tied 11th at the Dubai Desert Classic on the European Tour. He has a potential to get himself right up there near the top of the leaderboard. There have been also a lot of missed cuts, but he's a young player who I think is really talented. Ben Griffin has been hitting the ball well, but he just gives me an uneasy feeling because I'm not sure what's going on with his eye. Right? I don't know if he ever got rid of those floaters.
He did get it. He did have the procedure done, and he's been wearing sunglasses as a point of protection.
Okay. Well, then in that case, he hasn't been putting well. Maybe the sunglasses are causing that. He's lost strokes putting in his last 2 events, 4 out of his last 6. I think that Thor Bjornsson can clip Ben Griffin, and I think he's too much of an underdog. So I'm taking advantage.
Plus money here, plus 135 for Thor Bjornsson over Ben Griffin. The line is, we won a game yesterday. We win today. That's 2 in a row. If we win tomorrow, that's called a winning streak. It has happened before. That's the quote I was looking for. Patrick, please unleash your matchup mayhem.
First, I have a question about Ben Griffin.
Sure.
Is he the most NPC looking player on the PGA Tour? Non-playing character for those of you at home, kind of just most run-of-the-mill, out of a factory looking person.
The problem is it doesn't help that his name is Ben Griffin.
And that he used to be a loan officer.
Yeah, it's like the most generic everything. I can't think. Oh, he's great. I can't think of anybody else. So for now, yes, he's number 1.
Okay, good. I will. I'll move on to my matchup while you guys think of potential names. Akshay Bhatia minus 105 over Sahith Theegala. Like I mentioned, Theegala has been dreadful at this golf course when you kind of put variance and variance together. Rick, you do get fireworks, but sometimes those fireworks, you know what they do? They take off a finger. Shout out to Justin Tuck. And that has been the case for Theegala at this golf course. 3 straight missed cuts, coming off a missed cut at the Open. Akshay making his debut. He did miss the cut at the Open as well, but he's driving the ball so well right now. Long and straight off the tee. That's going to be crucial this week. So I think he'll have the edge over Theegala at minus 105.
Nick Dunlap over Emiliano Grillo for me. I'm just going to ride the hot hand. I'm also going to ride the hot hand with Pearson Coody to finish inside the top 20 at plus 330. Pearson has not played since, oh God, I should have pulled this up. The ISCO. Was he in the playoff or did he miss the playoff? He was in the playoff.
It's the WASCO now.
The WASCO. That's right. Was in the playoff with Harry Hall, and I believe it was Rico Hoey. Coody's been coming around plus 330 to finish inside the top 20. Sure. We're going to snake this. Patrick, back to you.
Another man who was in that WASCO playoff, Zach Blair. I'm going to take him for a top 20 at plus 450. Hitting his irons really well. He missed the cut at the Barracuda. I'm okay with that. 1 start at the 3M Open, produced a T13. Got to hit the ball in the fairway here. The lack of length is a little bit concerning, but he has been effective just getting his golf ball around. So I'm going to take him for a top 20 at plus 450.
Okay, plus 450. Ooh, nice. Okay, Greg. Oh, here's a name that you turned me on to on Monday, and now you're going to ride with him on Tuesday.
Riding with it again. It's Chan Kim. You talk about Zach Blair hitting his irons well. Chan Kim is absolutely flushing it. This year in general on the PGA Tour, he's been phenomenal. But in his last 4 starts, he's gained strokes approaching the green. It is, let me count that up. It's 8 out of his last 9 where he's gained strokes on approach and also off the tee. He is hitting the ball extremely well. The putter's been a little bit of a problem, but in the last 3 events, he has gained strokes. I got him for a top 30 at plus 120.
So that is Chan Kim, top 30 plus 120. Zach Blair, top 20 plus 450. Pearson Coody, top 20 plus 330. 2 separate outrights, and these are 6 different names. Greg, you have both the shortest and the longest odds So I'm dying to find out what you've done here.
Okay, I've gone Akshay Bhatia. He would be the shortest odds. Patrick mentioned a lot of these reasons. He's driving it so well. His iron play in general has been very good on the PGA Tour this year. He's 17th on tour in that category. So we know what he can do tee to green. But his putting is up from 27th. Last year it was 183rd. He's made a huge improvement with that broomstick putter. I think he continues this week in his debut at the 3M Open. And the longest odds that we have is Neil Shipley at 100 to 1. Now, Luke Clanton is like top 5 in the odds.
Yeah.
Top six favorite.
Yeah.
And I don't understand the difference. Clanton has a T2. Shipley has a T6. Shipley led the field at the Barracuda in strokes gained approach, gained 8.5 strokes. He is extremely aggressive, especially with his irons, clearly hitting the ball very well, and can get hot with the putter at times. Although I think that's the thing that really needs to get hot this week in order for him to win. So take it a chance. Neil Shipley, 100 to 1. Let's go.
Yeah, I like that. Shipley might be the best of these young guys, and he's 100 to 1 and not a real good reason why. I opted for Cam Davis, 30 to 1, who just won 2 starts ago. I think this is a pretty decent setup for him. He certainly fits the mold of types of golfers who have won here before, not without concern, of course. And then Mac Meisner, 50 to 1. He's trending. He's trending in the right direction. Shoulda, coulda, woulda won the Barracuda. Oh, that's tough to say. 50 to 1 for Mac. Patrick, please round us out with 2 separate outrights.
I went with Kitty Cat, Kurt Kitayama at 50 to 1. Big hitter, big bopper, can get it out there far. Tee to green, he's been awesome the last 3 months. I believe he ranks 3rd in this field. Kind of a down season for him. Obviously needs a big start to get into playoffs. Only one top 10 all the way back in Phoenix, but winner on the PGA Tour before. I think he can get it done. And then I'm going with a winner on the PGA Tour this season, Austin Eckroat at 66 to 1. He's been hitting it great, top 10 in strokes gained off the tee, driving accuracy. Iron play has generally been very good as well. The putter and short game has not been good, but he's putted these greens well before, has a top 20 under his belt. So I'm going to take a chance on the Cognizant Classic winner there at PGA National.
There you go. So we've got Cam Davis, Matt Meisner, Kurt Kitayama, Austin Eckroat, Akshay Bhatia, and Neil Shipley. That is the grid. And then Josh is very kind, so he gives us a little bonus bet. That's an extra $50 to put on anything that we want. Usually Greg and I, we handle this with due diligence, with respect, while Patrick goes nuts and tries to light it on fire. However, that has been very successful, and he's gotten in my head in a big way. Greg, why don't you let us know who you have opted for this week?
Yeah, I'm going the slow and steady way. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the profits. My slow and steady strategy of plodding along has led to a nice win percentage, but minimal profits. We've made $26 so far this year, return of 2.6%. But fortunately, in the positive, so I've gone with Taylor Pendrith for a top 20 at plus 160. Very similar to what you said about Cam Davis, Rick. I think this is the kind of golf course that could fit him, trying to make his way, earn his way onto the President's Cup team. And I think this could be a really, a really nice avenue for him to do that. I like the way that he's been hitting the ball ever since he got injured or got healthy from his injury. And he's coming off a T5 at the Barracuda, where he gained 5.5 strokes approaching the green. So I like what I'm seeing out of Pendrith.
That 2.6%, Greg, is nothing to sneeze at. You're outpacing Tesla stock year to date. So investing in GFD, that would be your stock handle, has been more profitable than investing in Tesla. Rico Hoey for me. He's figuring it out. The results are coming. He's playing well. He's always been a great driver. He's always been a great ball striker. Has missed a lot of cuts, but not so much anymore. You can see the confidence building. I've got him to finish inside the top 20 at plus 250. And Patrick, the brand is strong, my friend. The brand is strong. You are sticking to the game plan no matter how crazy it seems, because sometimes you got to spend money to make money, baby. What'd you go with?
Exactly, Rick. Could not have said it better myself. I'm going with Tony Finau to win at 11-1, past champion, playing great golf. I'm going to throw that second round at the Open out the window. I am a little concerned about the travel for a lot of these guys. You talk about stocks. CrowdStrike really did a number on the travel plans for the guys who missed the cut because the outage was then. I saw Tony Finau's wife's TikTok. I saw Ben Griffin talked about his TikTok star, just about the trials and tribulations that these guys had to go through to get to Blaine, Minnesota. So that's the one concern I have for Finau. But outside that, he's been awesome. And so I think he can win it. And if this cashes, we'll get close to the black for the year. It's a big week for us, guys. We got to get some bets across the line.
We do. We've had a bunch of close outright calls in the last couple of weeks at long odds, and I don't think we got enough of them over the line. Let's see what we can find for this week. That is Hoey top 20, Finau to win, Pendrith top 20. And of course, all of this is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can make every moment more. There is just one final thing to do here, gentlemen. That is the one and done selections for the week. Mr. DuCharme has eked his way back into the top 5 of the overall standings. He's now only $1.6 million off the lead, but
wow,
because he's in that position, he's going to have to wait because we get his pick last. We're going to get Kyle's first. Josh, if you want to share it up, do it. Oh, look at this. Kyle has opted for Lee Hodges. I don't have any context, but he's going with Lee Hodges.
Sounds like a guy who is on vacation and in last place.
Josh has gone with Akshay Bhatia. I was going to go with Akshay, but saw that I still had Tony Finau left. So I said, as good as time as ever. Let's just use Tony Finau and see if I can pass somebody. Mark has gone with Cam Davis. Patrick, you are closest to Greg. You can't catch him this week, but you can close the gap. What did you go with?
Same thought process as you, Rick. Tony Finau, at this point in the season, they're like fouls. You can't take them with you. Got to use them up. Tony Finau, 3M. I alluded to it last week. This is what is going to change. Turn the course of my season. Only 6 million behind Greg. The march to the top starts now.
Yes, Patrick has been teasing this Tony Finau at 3M savior, the Messiah, coming in late July for Patrick in the form of Tony Finau. We will see if that is the case. I hope it is, my friend, because he will provide savings for all of us. Greg, 19.3 million, 1.6 off of the very tippity top. You're crushing us. Your selection for this week's 3M Open is?
Well, I did something I've never done before. I went to the leaderboard, the big leaderboard, and checked on some selections of those in front of me. Being in 5th, there's only 4 names that I wanted to check.
There's only 4 clicks.
There's 4 clicks. I had a player in mind. I wanted to see if it would be possible that I make up any ground should this player perform well. And it is possible because 3 out of the 4 players ahead of me have 3 out of the 4. No, I missed that.
Okay.
Is this one of our leaders?
Your rival.
Wow.
A name has emerged.
Wow.
Cody sits. And if that name looks familiar, Greg, it's because he sits directly in front of you in the 4th position, but only by 110,000. You clicked his name. And now he's here. Now he is here taunting you in the chat.
Look at his list.
Well, also, so he's the one. If he could take Akshay, I wasn't sure if it was him or Sean who could take Akshay. I guess it's Cody. So Cody, first of all, hashtag good picks this year. I recommend taking Akshay. That's who I'm taking. Look, I think it's going to be a great week for him. He's on my outright card. he's got to make it to my one and done card because he's available. So hopefully Akshay wins, and I'm in second behind Cody. Although I don't think that will quite happen. I'm a little too far back, I believe.
You're a little bit too far back, but you could, I mean, if that were to happen, so let's say Cody changes his pick, or actually, I guess we don't even know who he's picked, but he has Akshay available. So allegedly has Akshay available. If he picks Akshay, you pick Akshay, they win, and the three ahead of you do not, we could have like 5 guys within $100,000 at the top.
Tight. And all of a sudden, these events where, all year it's been, you got to hit the big ones, right? Josh says Cody has used Akshay.
So
I thought so. So I think Sean has him available.
He's trolling you.
Man, mind games from Cody 6.
Yeah,
More
but
like
the pick is in,
Cody 4.
so it's not a real mind game.
Well, what's crazy is, okay, so I hope that it comes to this point, but we should be at a point where Greg should not have to reveal his picks on Tuesday. So we would, you know what I mean? Like, because the guy in front of him could just outpace him. Like Greg is at a disadvantage by revealing his pick publicly on Tuesday.
Yeah, isn't it just that much more amazing that I'm doing this?
It's very impressive when you put it in that context, Rick. What Greg is
I'm on
doing
the road
right now.
here. I'm like winning at Adare Manor.
You're striking out guys while telling them, "Hey, I'm throwing a fastball on this pitch."
Here it comes.
Yeah.
I vote that if this gets to a situation where Greg's in like second or third or something
In the
like
playoffs.
yeah, and we've got maybe one, or we'll lock it in. We'll figure out a way to do this, but Greg should not have to reveal his pick live on the show.
I think that if it gets to a point where I could just get blocked out, right?
Yes.
Just pure defense is played.
Yeah.
Which I'd be very curious if that happens. Like if it's possible with a huge leaderboard. It's not going to come down to 2 people.
Yeah, you probably right. There's probably not going to be enough separation.
Yeah.
For
Right.
that to matter.
Right. Like the guy in 10th could win the tour championship and win it all.
Yeah.
What are we doing for the tour championship?
Well, I think on Run Your Pool, there's nothing.
No, I think there is something you can choose how to make the purse payout. I think we did this before.
We should probably know the rules. So here, let's do this. Okay. There is a tour championship. Yes. Tour championship is involved, and Joshua, that says 100% of the winnings.
Yeah, you could adjust that.
So what are we adjusting it to?
Well, we probably should have adjusted this like 6 months ago.
Oh,
But-
because you think the people are actually reading the rules.
Yeah,
Well-
I mean, I've saved Rory McIlroy.
Oh, like I want it to be 100% of the winnings because I'm way behind.
If that is the case, I have made serious strategic errors.
So I believe the standard would be like 20 or 25%. I don't know what that would. So they're using the bonus money. So right. So what? 18
That's the only
million?
money there is. 18 million to the winner.
So what's 18 mil? What's 20%?
I agree with all this.
So if you made it 20%, it would basically be a signature event. It'd be 3.6 million for first,
That is what we should do.
which I think is what most.
I think that's fair.
20%.
Can we change that, Josh?
Commissioner says.
Okay. now
But
let's-
if I'm like 4 million behind Greg,
yeah,
we
we'll
can
change.
revisit this conversation after
Yeah,
the
we-
BMW
Yeah, we just
championship.
need a majority vote, and we'll definitely outvote Greg on this for sure.
Oh,
Yes.
no.
Democracy, baby.
I do know that
It's a win.
there are going to be. This happens every year. Some league does not know about the tour championship stuff, and they will award the 18 million, and someone who was in 30th will snap off with a win because they haven't used Scotty yet,
Yeah, or Xander.
or Xander.
But you're talking about $18 million. The leader in this, who is crushing it this year, is at $20 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
Exactly. Yeah.
If
Yeah,
that was
there's
the case, it's almost worth not taking anybody until the Tour Championship.
Right, because you'd want all of your guys available.
Yeah.
There's going to be some controversy in.
I actually don't think there
the
should be,
comments.
because we have normally in previous years. No, there definitely will be, but in
Yes.
previous years we have made often the Tour Championship match the
BMW.
W, which this does, right? 3.6.
Yeah, if not, it's really close.
Yeah, so this is how we have run this in the past.
Yeah. Good. This is a
Also-
good move.
Also, hashtag pound sand. Okay, so just for those listening,
New hashtag.
that's actually an old hashtag. That's like a Kyle Porter 2020 with some hot takes and everybody securing him, and he's just going hashtag pound sand.
When hashtags were hot in the street.
Yeah, I'm bringing them back. The picks, just for reference here. Greg is at 19.3 million. He has gone with beep. No, I'm just kidding. He's gone with Akshay Patia. Patrick, 13.4 million. Tony Finau. Mark, 9.7 million. Cam Davis. Rick, 9.0. Tony Finau. Josh, 8.8. Akshay. Kyle, 8.5. Lee Hodges. That's it.
Hashtag good pick.
Hashtag good pick. That's all I got. Anything else?
Looking forward to the week. I agree with you guys. This is a fun tournament. It's going to be fun to break down.
Is there anybody in this field going to the Olympics next week?
No way.
Martin Trainer?
Højgaard? Not in the
Oh?
field. No, not in the field. He's in the FedEx Cup bubble and not playing.
I do remember a lot of guys did do that last time, though.
Who are the Canadians in the
It
Olympics?
is Connors and Taylor.
No, I don't think either of them are here. No, they're not. A lot of other Canadians, though.
I mean, if I would just stay over there, right?
Henrik Norlander? Sweden?
No, Noren and Ludwig.
I forgot Noren existed. Maybe there's not.
Why would you come
Argentina? Toasty and Grillo?
over? Oh.
They're both in the field.
Yeah,
Could be.
Toasty is 100%, which means Griot is, because Toasty's picture, I think he was like 12, the one that he sent into the Olympics. It's all time.
He's such a cute little guy. I love him.
Sure.
Sure. All right, that'll do it. We will be back on Thursday. Round by round recaps. Also, a Friday cut sweat show live on the network. For now, big thanks to producer Josh. Does all the hard work behind the scenes. Patrick McDonald is available at P McDonald CBS. Greg DuCharme is available at The Real GFD. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.